Labeled printouts on Gradescope allow instructors to upload their own exam that was created offline to the Gradescope site, and then print out as many copies of that exam as they have students from Gradescope. Each page of that exam will have a unique label in the upper right corner, and that way, when the instructor has collected the completed handwritten paper-based exams from the students and goes to the scanner, if they unstaple the exams and then drop the stack, or if the pages get jumbled or shuffled in any way, Gradescope will be able to put the pages of each student's exam back together. So to get started, I'm going to create a new exam on Gradescope. Exam 1, and I will upload a template file. In this case, the template file that I uploaded is a file that I've already created or that I've been using in a paper and pencil setting in a classroom. And I could have created this file in Microsoft Word and Google Docs and LaTeX and any sort of external PDF or exam editing software. And in my case, this is an exam that has 2 pages with 3 questions on page 1 and 2 questions on page 2. Since the instructor can create their exam outside of Gradescope, there's no restriction on how many questions they have per page or how many pages they have or what format those questions take. Labeled printouts is a feature that's available for instructor uploaded assignments, which means that the instructor will be collecting the paper exams in a classroom and will be in charge of scanning all of them into Gradescope on behalf of the student. And of course, that can also be an administrator who's handling scanning for the instructor. So when I create the exam, I'm going to see my template, and I'll tell Gradescope how many questions I have and where they're located. And that way, when the instructor or the TAs are grading, they'll be taken to the correct region of every page for the question that they're grading, and they won't have to be flipping through the pages. I can also give the questions point values to set up how many points each question will be worth, and I'll label a name region and an ID region. This is where my students will be handwriting their names and IDs, and this is what Gradescope will use to automatically match each scanned exam to a student on the roster. When I'm taken to the next page, I can now create printouts of that exam that I created. In my case, this was a 2-page exam, and so I put in the number of submissions or the number of students in my course. Let's say that I have a course of 20 students, and Gradescope will create a printout of 40 pages each, 2 per student. I can use this for as few or as many students as I want. However, if the number of pages in a single printout exceeds 800, so let's say that I have 500 students, then 2 printouts will be created. There's no limit to how many pages or printouts can be created on Gradescope. So for my example, let's keep things simple. Let's say that I have 10 students and I want to print out 10 exams. When Gradescope prints these exams, it's going to create a label in the upper right corner, as we'll see. So we'll give Gradescope a second to generate this file. All right, and now I can download it. And once I download this file, it'll be ready for me to print and to distribute the pages to the students. So here's my file, and it is important when the instructor is creating the exam. The only formatting restriction is that they don't actually put anything in the upper right corner of the page because that's where the unique Gradescope code will go. So this is actually an example of what not to do because now students wouldn't be able to handwrite their IDs. And you can see on my printout that there's a unique code associated with each page. So now let's say that I've printed these out, my students have taken them in class, and now they've given the exams back to me. So now as an instructor, what I'd be able to do is I would be able to actually upload those exams back to Gradescope. And let's actually take a look at that PDF. And before we upload it, let's shuffle around some of the pages. So let's say that in this case, page 2 comes before page 1, and I'll move this other page to the start, basically just changing around the order. The situation that we're mimicking here is, let's say that you have a stack of stapled exams, then you cut off the corners with the staples, you now have a stack of unstapled pages, and then you accidentally drop them before they're scanned in. And now different students' pages are scrambled or mixed in between other students' pages of the exams. So I'm just shuffling these around. Okay, that seems good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this stack of exams back into Gradescope, assuming that they actually had student handwriting on them. And what Gradescope's going to do is it's going to be able to put the exams back together. So it'll find all the pages associated with each student's exam and correctly split them into submissions. So you can see it just created 10 submissions. And even though we scrambled the pages, Gradescope was able to put them all back together. So that, for example, here we have student 7 and student 7. Note that it doesn't matter which student gets which printout, as long as the printouts have the code and each student turns in printouts that have the same code, Gradescope will be able to intelligently put them back together. And from here, the instructor would just upload all the exams back into Gradescope, and Gradescope would also use that name region and the ID region at the top of the page and the handwritten names and the roster to match up the exams to the students.